Hey, it's Rachel Adelicia, and this is Sunday Chronicles. Again, a little video to open up the floor and really ask, how are you? How are you dealing with this global crisis pandemic? How are you balancing everything? And give us a space to really connect and talk to each other. And ironically, this week I really wanted to talk about connections. We are at home. We are all self-isolating. And if you are not self-isolating because you are a frontline worker, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. And if not, we are all staying home so that we all stay safe. But in that time, how are you connecting with your friends or any relationship that you have? I know that I'm missing seeing my friends. I'm missing just seeing, the kind of casual acquaintances I've had. And some of the things that I've been doing to stay connected were Zoom happy hours and Zoom, hangouts with my friends, which are great. I think that's such an amazing option because you get to see people. And I sometimes get a little bit weird talking on the phone. Like, I really have to kind of know you to talk on the phone. So it's been great to see people and get that face for me. Um, Texting, I love texting. I've been thinking about writing my friends some letters just because I know I love getting mail, and I think there's nothing more heartwarming than a handwritten note just to even say, like, hey, I'm thinking about you. How are you? That sort of thing. But I'm going to be honest, this week connections were on my mind because it was a hard week for me. Kind of everything hit. Maybe you're like me and you're kind of realizing, oh, this is going to be a long term thing. I'm an introvert and I can stay inside and all those things. So a couple weeks I was like, oh, easy, got it. But it looks like we might be in this space for a while. And I was dealing with how do I set up a schedule for me where I can get all my work done? Because in some ways I feel like I'm busier now than before. That I can take care of myself because connection with myself is important. And then take care of the people I need to take care of in the house. And then my relationships outside the house. And deal with the fact that everything's changing and we might be in grief and fear and anxiety because, we're not just all at home. We're at home trying to work, trying to deal with a pandemic, trying to deal with a bunch of things. It's not a vacation. Um, that all felt really heavy this week. And I will admit, I was the first one to be like, well, I'm not in the mood to text. I'm not in the mood to have a Zoom hangout. Not because I don't love my friends, not because I'm not invested in them. And by the way, I'm sure I've been meaning to text you back. I've been meaning to send you a note. I've been meaning to call you. It's just that this week, I don't know about you, but it hit me of like, I can't have the talk again. I can't talk about how we're doing and what's going on because it was just too heavy. Last week I kind of talked about having grace. And so I tried to have a lot of grace for myself and saying, okay, there's some days like this and you don't have to be everything to everyone today. You can take care of yourself. But then on the other hand, I worry about like, oh, I hope my friends aren't thinking like, oh, she's ignoring me. We know she's home. She could text back. All those things. It can spiral. And I don't know if you're like me. I can overthink a lot of things. So connections were on my mind. And I was wondering how you're connecting with your friends. How are you dealing with keeping up your relationships? And yet, how are you dealing with the days that maybe you need some time alone? Or are you busier than you were before? I can't imagine having kids. So if you are a mama or a papa right now with kids while you are at home, trying to figure out work from home, trying to figure out how to deal with everything, and then having to, either manage your kids online school or manage your kids in general, I commend you because that just seems incredibly hard. I know there are days that I feel like I'm incredibly hard and I don't have a child at home with me. So kudos. How can we help you? But connection's been on my mind. And connection to friends and how do we long term maybe set up some things that are great for our friends and ways to keep in touch. How do we extend grace to our friends when maybe they aren't in a space where they want to talk or needing time alone, and how do we extend grace to ourselves when we need those things as well. I've also been thinking about connection to myself because it's not just connection to our friends and our relationships, but how can I nurture myself at this time? For me this week, it looks a lot like journaling, working out. It's so mental for me, but finding a space and workouts that make me feel good and I can dance it out. Um, reading things that bring me joy, not scary work things, but just books that are fun. Bubble baths, although, I haven't washed my hair, so But self-care, like my skin routine or face masks, doing things that for me make me feel a little bit nurtured by myself. Because in this time, connection to self is important. And then I also think maybe connection to like the global community is important. Um, Volunteer work is something that was always real important in the house that I grew up in. And so also sitting down and thinking, how can I give back at this time? If it's making face masks or donating whatever you can donate. I am what feels like now a million years ago, used to be a tutor. That was my day job when I lived in LA full time for a while. I was a tutor. That's how I supported my acting career. And some other tutors and I are getting together and we're going to have a public Google file. I'm not good at tech. I own a website and I have no idea how to do this. But like a Google file of like some of our tutoring, book recommendations, math problems, all that stuff. So if you are interested or you need that, please let me know. Because that's one of the things I know I could give back in. But thinking about all those things, how do I nurture my relationships? How do I nurture myself? And then how do I maybe help as a whole? And again, I want to point out that someone said something to me this week, and I think I've kind of pieced that together for you that, none of us are just at home. It's not a vacation. And none of us are working from home. We are at home trying to work, dealing with a global crisis and pandemic. And with that comes a lot of grief, a lot of anxiety, and a lot of fear. And so even if you are just getting up, that's enough. If you are somehow getting through the day, that's enough. The questions that I'm thinking about are big, and there's no right answer. And quite frankly, I think they're going to look different day to day, which is where the grace comes back in. We're going to give ourselves kindness and others kindness that, none of us can do this all. We are asking a lot of ourselves right now. So we're going to be really, really kind to each other, I hope. I'm trying to be kind to myself. I'm trying to be kind to others and understanding of others. But also dealing with the big stuff. How do we get back to that? How do we connect? I am open to all your ideas because, like I said, I had a hard week when my connection really kind of went back self. And, this week I'll return all your texts and call and all of those things. But how do we balance that? What are you doing? How are you staying connected? How are you taking care of yourself? And I want the good and the bad, the days when you're, not washing your hair and wearing sweats all day are just as valid as the days that somehow maybe you're baking banana bread or whatever it is that you're doing to cope and connect. I see you. I care about you. I'm glad you're here. I have no answers and I'm muddling through the same way you are. But thank you for letting me have a space to talk about things. And I hope that you feel comfortable jumping in DMs, chat boxes, teach me how to use a Google Doc, whatever. Or Google Drive. That's what it is. It's a Google Drive. See, I'm really bad at tech. But I can shop. And I can put together outfits. That's my skill set. Someone else does the tech. But let's stay connected. And the days when we don't want to connect, let's figure out ways to connect to ourselves. This is Rachel at Alicia. I am wishing us a week of comforting connection and amazing shoes.